Hi everyone, it's just after 12. I have the children in bed. School tomorrow just before the Christmas holidays. The video I want to make here is not a public talk, it's just reaction to the abortion bill that was put in, signed by our president there yesterday, and just giving my thoughts on it. I feel what it's all about is abortions on demand, free medical card queuing after the pub. I've stuck by that statement for the past 8 months. I went around the local community down here in South Roscommon, advising them what they're voting for. Now that it has been legally binding, it's a law now that will be kicking in from January the 1st. From my own perspective, you'd want to know what Derek is doing. Well, I will be in Dublin. I'll be going to Dublin next week. The plan is to hook up with the pro-life people in Dublin before the new year, and to facilitate some sort of a New Year's Day protest. It is needed. The country is on the brink of something that in my lifetime I haven't seen. I'm very sure if the 12 men that were lined up against the wall, as I say, in Kilmainham jail were alive today, they would think it's 1916. It's very important for young Irish people to know what is coming. I told the community down here in South Roscommon that you're not just voting for abortion. What you are voting for is hate speech laws. Racism will be a crime, I predict maybe by 2020. Not only that, but the LGBT agenda is implemented in the sex education bill that is in a committee stage in Shannon Éireann, sponsored by Catherine Saponi, the American-born citizen. Mind you know that she's advocating on our children through Tulsa. Also, Joe McHugh, Education Minister, is sponsoring that bill. Government sponsor it, which means more than likely it will go through. And you might be saying to me, Derek, but they will have to debate on it. Well, it's not the eviction bill we're talking about here a year ago. It's a government sponsored education bill. It will pass. Paul Murphy, People Before Profit head, is putting his name attached to that, along with Claire Daly. I haven't even spoken about abortion, because it's not about abortion. It really is not. And the gentlemen and the women that I look to are dead over 100 years. Patrick Pearse is an inspiration to me that I studied Irish history. And one thing I do say to the youth of today that I don't even associate myself with is that we go to school and we learn about American slave trade, the American Revolution. We learn about Bastille Day, the French Revolution. We learn about the Industrial Revolution in the UK. But we don't even know our own Irish history. How many young people today can say the first president of Ireland is from Roscommon? How many? I would love to know that. I'm very sure not many would tell you that answer. They will definitely tell you Eamon de Valera, but not many will tell you Douglas Hyde. And that's where I'm coming from. And you might be saying to me, but Derek, you know, you have a lot of national agendas. What does that have to do with the local community? But anything nationally starts with the local community first and foremost. Community-led programs is what I'm advocating for. And I will not stand over any sort of attack on the local community. I just had my public talk there last Sunday in Top of McConnell Community Centre, where I highlighted what happened in Strokestown. I went up there personally to see what was going on before the guards were checking people's cars and scanning through their cars, knowing what's going on. I already spoke to Mr. Boyle, the super for Castlereagh Garda Station, asking him how could he allow that Garda presence in Falskin, Strokestown. We're not talking here about the back streets of inner city Dublin here, never mind Ballyfermot or Clondalkin. We're talking here about country folk standing up for what they believe in, and what they believe in is the same thing what I believe in. Some of you that did watch my live stream noted on it that I went through a personal experience with my family home as well 5 years ago. My father was incapacitated for a period of 4 years in the nursing home related to a stroke. My family home of 2 generations was basically taken off of me for the fact that the health insurance, the health policy for my father's mortgage was waived. Back in 2007, a lot of Irish people were spoofed into believing that, you know, we have all money now, willy-nilly, as Leo Varadkar says, and everyone just got mortgages left, right and centre. And the result of those mortgages in 2007 are coming to light now. Normally it would take 10 years for a mortgage to fall into severe arrears, especially when you got economic migrants coming over here working for less than the minimum wage. I can confirm that. And you got our own Irish people, basically social welfare recipients. It's not an Ireland that was envisioned over 100 years ago. Certainly not an Ireland that was envisioned 400 years ago. And the abortion bill that was signed in by President Higgins, you might ask me, Derek, but how is this even a debate? How is this even a discussion? Well, the fact is that the President of Ireland has the authority to push back a bill for debate, just to get a second opinion on it. Now, I know it went through both houses very quickly, and I can confirm that it went through very quickly. Normally bills on average, if you look on oireachtas.ie, normally bills will go through in maybe 3 to 4 weeks. This went in less than was expected. It was pushed through because the consensus is in government that abortions on demand, free on medical card, queuing after the pub, is what the Irish people voted for, is what the Irish people want. And I'm advocating for my local community down here, and I want other young people like myself, other young family people like myself, to understand that you do have a voice. You have €100 voice, because to run in the local elections wherever you're based is €100. Or you can get 15 signatories to attest to your nomination. That's if you're not going under party affiliation. I would assume that most people that would be looking at this video will not be interested in party affiliations. And where I'm coming from is that I believe that now more than ever, and given the fact that Fianna Fáil have attested to Fine Gael's government mandate, they've also attested to government proposed mandate, and they accept it. I was under an assumption that Fianna Fáil were an opposition party in this country, and Patrick Pearse, James Plunkett, even going back to Wolftown, would they see this Ireland as the Ireland they envisioned? I don't think they would, because in Ireland today we don't have an opposition party to the establishment, and I'm counting in that Sinn Féin, Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael, and also the people before profit. How can I put them? Idiots. What are they? You know, are they hippies? I don't know what they are. But Paul Murphy is only in the spotlight over what he did for the water charges and for the protest he did by keeping Joan Burton in the car in Tala a number of years ago. So that's where I'm coming from. I'm not attacking people's individual views. We're all entitled to our own opinion. For now, Hildegard under Fine Gael in the EU a couple of weeks ago agreed to EU directive in relation to hate speech laws online. This is something this time next year you might not be able to see, as it will go through Facebook data before it will go public. Hate speech laws are planned, they have been agreed to by EU directive, and also they've been agreed per se by Fine Gael government mandate. Do you really think that Fine Gael will go against the EU directives? I don't believe they will do so. It's a national crisis we're in, and Strokestown has really woken up the people of Ireland. What I saw before the abortion vote on May 25th of this year, it was something that was waiting to ignite. We're on the brink, as I've mentioned already, something special here in this country. The issue is, you might say to me, but Derek, what's the next move? Well, the next move is in your hands. We have local community members across the board, from Donegal down to my home county, Waterford, that have been voting Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael, Sinn Féin all their lives. And if you ask them why they're voting, they probably won't even give you an answer as to why they're voting, as to what they're voting for. I know 8 years ago, Labour blasted right into the local elections on the presumption that they're against water charges, that they would not touch the student grant. After that, 5 years later, in 2015, it was the Sinn Féin vote that got into the local elections, and across the board, there's only one Roscommon to note, but across the board in the councils, Sinn Féin got the vote. My view for the next local elections, based on the abortion bill that has been signed in now, based on what's going to be leading up to the local elections, there's going to be a lot of protests. That's something that we already know about. Do I condone violence? I won't come out publicly, I never will come out publicly against people's views, but I will accept people's angers, like the anger we saw in Strokestown last week. And for Fine Gael, the way Irish politics works, for those of you that are not in the know-how, normally you'll have Fianna Fáil attacking Sinn Féin, and that's the way it has always been done. Just look back at old videos on YouTube of the Dáil debates, leaders' questions. They always attack Sinn Féin just because it's a cheap shot. It delays the mandate, it delays the talk, as we saw with what Fradker was saying to Pierce Doherty. Man of integrity. Does he have enough integrity to leave Sinn Féin? No, he doesn't, sadly. Not that I accept what Peadar Tobin movement is all about, but Pierce Doherty is a man of integrity and someone that I hold highly in regard. But for Leo Varadkar to attack Pierce Doherty on the basis that the people in the Strokestown protest are dissident Republicans, I confirm they're not. They're just local farmers from the farming community. And the farming community is stronger like any other community we have here in Ireland. From Sligo down to Clonmel and Tipperary, they came up to Strokestown last week and they stood up for the local community, as they should do, as we should do for the abortion bill. You might ask me, Derek, what's your kind of views on what should be the next move? Well, I alone can't make up the next move, but what I can share is my own views on the next move. My moves have already been made. I've already petitioned local auctioneers. For the fact is, the HSC, as of this moment in time, is stretched in the budget. You got nurses on the brink of industrial action. And can they, and I'm talking they, the HSC, take on these abortion services? I don't think they can. And that's where local auctioneers will come in. I've already mentioned it before, that local auctioneers will be facilitating this in a 3-tier lease agreement structure. That entails the head landlord more than likely be in the UK or in the US. They will be leasing it out to a head landlord more than likely in Dublin or in Kildare, as the way it was with Irish Water. And the subtenant then will be in the local county. They will then have a fit-out arrangement, a 30-day contract to get the abortion equipment in. And you might ask me, Derek, 60 doctors for the country, can they really cope with this? Well, look, they don't need 60 doctors in Ireland. They can get the one from Venezuela to come down here and get the job done by way of visa, how can I put it, priority. And they can do that in immigration. The government can push through certain individual cases that it has a government mandate. And then you have your doctors in here then setting up willy-nilly in the local community. If you calculate $4.50 per abortion, 60 a day, 300 a week on a 3-month lease agreement. This is not maths class here, but you can do the calculations yourself. It's big money. It's a big money business. It was never about women's choices. And what I have said to my local community down here, and I will continue to advocate, 100 years ago, us Irish people were calling it women's rights when we were sending our women, and we called them loose women, into the Magdalen laundries through church and state in the court system. We're doing it again now, but this time the church is not involved or the courts are involved. It's the government is involved. And the worst thing any country can do is give full authority to any government, no matter how good or how special they are. Now the government is in control of women's rights. And you saw the slogans that Together for Yes used. Deirdre Duffy, the chairman, advocated that it's your body. I saw some posters for Together for Yes, keep your rosaries off my ovaries, stuff like that. It was never about religion. I've made my videos, you've never seen me once bring religion into it, because it's not about religion. These liberals don't even have a religion. Their religion is money. But besides the point, you will have a Madigan, or Minister for the Gaeltacht and Arts, who's so-called minister in her church. She will say, look, I believe in God, but I also believe that women should have the choice. She'll be saying, well, we're coming up to Christmas. Didn't Mary have a choice? Mary had no choice for Jesus in the womb, so why should we not allow our Irish women to have a choice as well? But I say, is it a choice? Was it a choice last weekend when a newborn baby was found dead on a Dublin beach? Was it a choice when the guards came out publicly and said that that mother is not going to face any criminal charges? Now, I don't know if they said that just to, wheel her in on the fish hook. But when you got people who voted yes for abortion, and they're crying at that case where the newborn baby was found dead on the beach, it's shocking. It really is shocking. The local communities everywhere around. And I really see that the people that did vote yes, 66%, how many of those were flown in? let's say 15% were voted in, were flown in, sorry. So you're left then with a percentage of 51% that voted yes. So of those 51% that voted yes, how many of those that voted yes are strong abortion advocates? Well, I'm giving a figure off the top of my head. If you look at the Fine Gael support, the consensus within Fine Gael, they're all for abortion. If you take their membership into account, of the 51%, it's 5.5% that voted for abortion without consideration to the child in the womb. Fianna Fáil were basically split down the middle. So you can add on another maybe 2.5% onto that, so you're on to 8% now that want abortion on demand, queuing after the pub bill without any limitations, straight up the birth. You're left now from 51% to 43% that voted for abortion. Those 43%, I really do believe that us Irish people have a heart. And of those 43%, were they happy hearing the newborn baby on the beach dead and the mother not being put into the spotlight for criminal activity against the child? You know, you have people now today pregnant in hospital. I understand what women go through in their pregnancies. I don't identify as a female. I'm not Stephen Donnelly. But what I am saying is I've been through 4 pregnancies with my wife. Each one different from the next. You got high blood pressure, protein in the urine. You got the hormones in the woman's body buzzing around like a buzzy bee, and you got to deal with it. My worry is now that doctors, when they see protein in the urine, when they see high blood pressure, they will not be only saying preeclampsia. They will not only be saying there's a concern. If you have a concern, come in to the A&E. They will be saying now, do you want the abortion? Look, Mary, you can take the abortion. You know, you're in your early 20s. In the case, according to the bill, you're under 16. Why ruin your life with a child? You have your whole life ahead of you. Just go for the abortion. You're only 25 weeks pregnant. It's only a clump of cells. It's only a fetus. You can abort it. It won't do nothing right. And oh yeah, and we'll have counselling afterwards. Look, the abortion bill, I've read it 8 months ago, and I can read it again today. It's abortion on demand. That's what it is, and it will always be about abortion on demand. The bill that was signed into law today by our president, and I have to question his integrity. A lot of people say, oh, he's a poet, put him on the line with Seamus Heaney. No way is President Higgins have that much dignity as an Irish citizen, first and foremost, while he was over there in Buckingham Palace shaking hands with the Queen, not knowing what our history went through. This is not an English-Irish war. It's not. When I clarify those sort of statements, what I am saying is you have to know your Irish history. And it goes back to the start of my video, that how many people will tell you the first president of Ireland, who he is, where he comes from, what was the attributes as his first presidency while he was in the office. But they will easily tell you about Eamon de Valera. But will they tell you about Eamon de Valera signing a book of condolences for Adolf Hitler? They won't. And that's the gentleman that found Sinn Féin and Fianna Fáil, and had a few words for Fine Gael set up as well. So the whole system in this country is all over the place. When you got no opposition in government, they're all one happy family there, queuing after the pub. And look, it's a queuing after the pub bill Same with the education bill. Did Paddy down the local draw up that education bill? I don't know. You ask me that. You ask me that question, because I don't know. And you might say, but Derek, you know, you're going a bit rough with your statements there, you know. But Derek, look, you want to get into public office, and you're spouting a lot of slogans there, you know. Are you sexist? Are you racist? Are you homophobic? Well, I tell you something, I'm not. The local community in the home is something that's sacred, is sacrosanct in the Constitution. The same way what we saw in Strokestown, where the guards said it's private property. Well, it's private property. Why were the UDA in there dragging David and Geraldine by the ears and the scruff of their necks? Why were they? Why were the guards saying it's private property? But the security guards were in there on private property. Yes, they were. It was a constitutional infringement on Irish citizens. Why didn't the guards make arrests? But they made 2 arrests, I believe, and those arrests were related to checkpoints, maybe a tail light out in the car, maybe a tax not paid as such. But look, at the end of the day, it's a police state we're going to. Shane Ross is advocating for, if you don't produce a driving licence at a stop, you will be given an €80 fine and 3 penalty points. I can guarantee you that there's a lot of people, in the high percentage of 90% of people, if they go to the local shop to get milk, or you have the fathers that are just dads getting the baby milk, they'll leave their license at home. You know, you go to the gym sometimes, or you go shopping, you leave your license at home. It's an important document. You don't want to be losing, and you don't want to be paying another €45 to get another one. As the moment we're paying money out the wazoo here. And what I'm saying to you is, locally we need to get our waste management disposal back under council ownership. I'm paying €55 a month for my waste. How many others are paying similar prices? It's absolutely ridiculous. But they can give abortions on demand, queuing after the pub bill to the Irish people. That's not what the Irish people want. What we want is the vulnerable women in society led into community-led programs. I know personally, speaking to women across Ireland, what they have gone through in their marriages, in their divorce matters, in their lives, what they've gone through, and where's the local community standing up for them. When I talk about the local community, I'm not talking about John and Mary down the road. What I'm talking about is the local representatives, on the basis that of the local community will support them. Where's McCabe's is not a local office you can go to. Free legal aid, even, I question that. The chief executive is party affiliated with Fine Gael. So I know the title of the video is The Abortion Reaction, but you see, it's not just about abortion that was signed today. What was signed today, we gave up our rights that were attested to in the Proclamation of Independence that Patrick Pearse read out at the GPO. If that gentleman was alive today, he would tear it up and say, look, I'm moving over to America, because this is not the country I fought for. You know, that's not the country he died for. But how many of our young people that were jumping up and down Dublin Castle, crying their eyes out with their pink hair, crying their eyes out having a glass of lager at the abortion bill? They're not celebrating women's rights. They're celebrating killing children. That's basically what it is, and what it will always be, about killing children at convenience. The church tried to do it with the Magdalene laundries. It didn't work out. We all know what happened there. 10 minutes down the road from where I live, and there's 2 babies, over 100 newborn babies found buried. Catrice Zapoli has in public come out and condoned it. She gave a public kind of view on it, political correctness at the highest order. Where I'm coming from, I have professionally insight knowledge of the way Tulsa operates. It's shocking. I facilitate in Obertown campus on a quarterly basis in Blanchardstown. And if you're not aware of what that campus is where all the juveniles go through the court system. And it's shocking the stories that our children go through. And just give you something of an example. With the current education laws, if your child is absent for over 21 days, the school, by law, has to notify Tulsa. Tulsa is involved. They will take the file. They will see little Johnny has been missing school for an excess period of 21 days, 22, 23 days as well. But they will then get in contact with the parents by way of through the school. They'll get all the contact information from the school. They will contact the parents, meet with the parents, sit down with the parents, try and console the parents and try and come to a resolution. And we call that children's rights. It's certainly not. It's infringement of constitutional rights, as I've mentioned already, in regarding evictions. When it comes to Tulsa in your house, if you deny them in their line of duty, they have the right to forward on to the Gardaí by way of a court order for the arrest of the parents. The amount of arrests relating to court orders on behalf of Tulsa is shocking. We're talking here about evictions, but you know, when it comes to children's rights, that was signed, I believe, 2015. It was a bill by the then Children's Minister Frances Fitzgerald, and she's an evil woman. Really is an evil woman. She is the one that really put Maurice McCabe under the spotlight, and that's what I'm coming from. You got the former commissioner of the Gardaí off in the EU. You got Pat Rabbit, the current CEO of Tulsa. Absolutely shocking. It's the country is in a brink of a crisis, and I'm not under any bit of the intention saying this under any assumption that it's not bad. The country is really bad at the moment. When March passes next year, the UK and Northern Ireland will be out of the EU. Republic of Ireland will remain. And my hope is that by this time next year, we will have the referendum ready for our own vote on EU membership. And it's a national crisis, as I mentioned, and I know that the title of the video is the Abortion Bill Reaction, but I'm just going to sum it up and end the video very shortly. But EU membership vote is needed. In 1973 we joined in lieu of the UK joining. Normally when it comes to Irish history, we follow our UK counterparts without second guessing. Now, the abortion bill took a number of years to go through, but look, we got a more liberal bill than the UK. We were the first to do the smoking ban in public place before the UK. We also changed our speed limits a number of years ago to miles an hour. So you can see where we're coming from when it comes to this EU membership vote. It is needed. I will advocate for it, and I'm totally in support of it. Farmers in the local community across Ireland are being hit by tariffs for up the region of 70 cents per litre of milk. If you go to your local supermarket recently, you will see now a 2.5 litre Avonmore milk. It was 220, 225. It's now gone down now to 189. And you might be saying to you, oh look, I'm saving the 40 cents. but at the end of the day, that's 40% lost to the farming community. And a lot of farmers do their jobs on credit. As we know with the Strokestown family, their debts are out there in the public domain, which is absolutely ridiculous. And I don't condone that at all. It's a private matter, it's a civil matter. They can bring those relevant media outlets, I believe, to the district court, number 1, for defamation against the family name, 100%. But leading back to the EU membership, is EU good for Ireland? I don't think it is, because they're advocating for not only the EU army but abortions on demand. That's where our support from the Citizens' Assembly came into light back there in the early 2010-2011, when the Citizens' Assembly drafted on behalf of government the bill that we're seeing today. Now, Simon Harris went to DIT and he was studying journalism in French. He dropped out. He dropped out in his final year of that course to take up his Fine Gael foreseeable future at the time, and he took it up, and you see where he is now. No honourable gentleman there, no integrity, no dignity. When he was looking to get the vote from his local constituents, he said, I'm pro-life 100%, and look at him now. Same with Leo Varadkar, same with all of the parties. I'm looking at Stephen Donnelly, Mrs. Stephen Donnelly. He wants to advocate for males now having abortions on demand, queuing up after the pub. Well, let's call him Mrs. from now on, because I know who wears the pants in his household, and it's certainly not his Stephen. I can tell you that much right now. When you got him saying, because on your Irish passport it says you're male, well, you must be male. Someone who studied medicine for 15 years is going to be confused as to whether to give the woman health care based on her passport, which is absolutely ridiculous. You got birth certificates coming up soon now, with it won't be mother and father matter anymore. It'll be parent 1, parent 2, and that is leading on to an LGBT agenda that's been forced upon the Irish people. I'm by no way homophobic, and I'm by no way racist when it comes to local matters. What I am against is agendas pushed into my face as an Irish citizen, and I'm entitled to my freedom of affiliation. I'm entitled to my opinions, but no way will I condone any sort of agenda being pushed down any citizen. You have your local community in your household. If you want to burn your house tomorrow, you can go ahead and burn it. If you want to have a party in your house, have a party. Just make note that there is nuisance and environmental laws related to noise after 11 o'clock. But if my neighbours down the road have a party, am I going to complain or not? Let them have whatever they want to have. So I'm not homophobic by any way, but what I am, as I mentioned, and I want to reiterate before people view this video and saying Derek McCabe is a homophobic, and I see some memes online saying I'm a homophobic. Oh, I'm not. I respect people's views. I respect people's paths in lives. But that's leading on to my community-led programs. The youth of today, they're being spoon-fed through technology. I got 4 young children and they're flying with their technology, and where I'm coming from is they need some human interaction. It starts in the home with the parents, but you got the parents both working, and you know, parenting today is a hard job to do, and abortions on demand is not an answer to parenting. It's an obstacle to parenting, because you're presenting yourself now with, you know, the mother gets pregnant, just took up a job, the father is working, and they're discussing now. They're not discussing about what names we're going to give our child. They're discussing, should we have an abortion? Is it the right time to have a baby? And under proclamation of independence, excuse me, what I'm trying to say is that's not what was envisioned for our unborn generations. All citizens in this country have their rights. Sadly now in the Constitution, when you pay your 250, 350 in Easons, that right is gone now. And it's shocking that it could take at least 2 generations for that right to be put back into the Constitution. Because if you look at it, I'm not coming here saying to my local community that it will all be a dilly-dally in May. It certainly won't. It comes back to a mandate that how many pro-life candidates will be voted in May. How many? How many of that 725,000 plus will vote? How many? How many do we know are not second cousins to Irish citizens that were coming over from America that voted in that election? So when we talk about unemployment numbers at the lowest it has ever been, it's a complete lie. Unemployment, as we all know, is up in the mid-30s. I believe is to be 37.5% based on the government programme of the last cabinet, where Enda Kenny was putting Job Bridge and Job Pat, renamed FeedTech to CTech, onto the young people. In America, when you do your 3rd level education, businesses comes in, takes students on their internships for a period of 6 months based on your assignment grades, and you get your job from there. I'm looking at class sizes of 35 studying law, only 5 are working legally. I'm one of them. It's shocking. Shocking numbers that I have from 2010. Absolutely shocking numbers. And it's even worse today, because you got young people, they're studying computing or science, and they drop out the first year of that course to go travelling around the world, and that's fantastic for them. And I'm not telling no one what to do with their lives, but I'm just showing you the options there for our youth are not there. And it all starts at a local community level. If there were community-led programs that were full of support, that were funded by the local county, what I'm looking for is not a police state that's been spoon-fed down the Irish citizens at the moment. What I'm looking for is counties like Roscommon, Cork, Waterford, Galway. They all have their own authority, and the local authority bill takes away from that power that the local community has and puts the power into Merriam Street and Kildare Street. To say, look, Derek has been talking here on the video, I believe maybe nearly going on an hour now. And what I'm saying to you is not my opinion. Some of it has been my opinion, but when it comes to the local authority bill, that's not an opinion. It's legislation. It takes away the power of the local community, and the only way that that power can be given back is if we vote in people that are passionate for the local community. You know, councils get paid 23,000 and 6,000 for their expenses. I'm saying to the local community, I get paid more than that in my job. My wife gets paid more than that as well. But where I'm coming from is enough is enough. Basically, enough is enough. Like, it's not about money no more. It really not. We need local people standing up for the local community, and it's been put out there that I'm living down here in Roscommon for 4 years from Dublin. High cost rents in Dublin has pushed me down here, and that's a story that many of the local community has gone through. The housing crisis in Dublin is a mirror, a Cinderella story, so to speak, when you got people who want to stay near their families, and they're well entitled to stay near their families. But when you got houses outside of the county of Dublin, in the commuting towns, you take them. Whether it's privately for people who are paying their rent privately, whether it's people that are facilitated under rent allowance. You hear a lot of stories about people can't get houses due to rental allowance, and that is true. A lot of landlords won't take it, but you have to look at it from the landlord's perspective. They're not going to take on rent allowance applicants in the county of Dublin when they can get someone in there to pay the 1,800 for the 2-bedroom apartment and be hit out the wazoo with further rent increases further down the line. I'm saying to the local community in Dublin, move out of Dublin, move out. You'll get a house for rent in the country for half nothing, and it will always be half nothing because the local community, rural Ireland, is dead, and that's the truth. Rural Ireland has always been neglected. Fianna Fáil were the party to stick up for rural Ireland, but I want to tell you and speak to rural Ireland. How's that going for you? Because I tell you something, it didn't go well for my family, and it's not going well for the community down here, as we already know with Strokestown. Many more evictions are due to come in 2019, I can confirm that. We're on the brink of something special here, and there was a gentleman yesterday in the family courts, some sort of device that was spoon-fed on by the liberal media. The situation with that gentleman, he was going through the court system for child maintenance orders. Fathers in the legal system are worse off than the people at the back streets of Mumbai. They're being treated as low-class citizens, and it's absolutely ridiculous when you got fathers being dragged in by their ears, similar to the McGann family up in Strokestown. And they're dragged in to the family courts, put in front of the judge, and they're told to pay. They're told to pay. Now, everyone has their own individual story. I do not condone a father in a similar circumstances that wants to go through violence in the court system. I have to say that, number one. Number two, it was a fantastic publicity stunt by the gentleman to get this topic into the public domain about fathers. And it leads into the abortion bill. We're all saying here about women's choice, but what when it comes to the father's choice? Little Mary can say now, oh, I can go for my abortion after the pub, and Johnny, you can't say nothing about it. But what if Johnny wants that child? What if Johnny wants to treasure his first child? But because Mary saw him gawking at Sarah across the pub, she wants to go off and get her abortion now. I'm saying that's not the way it should be, and that comes back to community-led programs. Because when a relationship similar to that example I gave you is happening in modern day Ireland, and you can question me and say it's not, I can say to you it certainly is. And under the current abortion bill, what's stopping little Mary going for her abortion, citing mental health issues, and she's 32 weeks pregnant? Nothing's going to stop her, because she's going to do it, and she's still entitled to do it. I'm saying, why is little Johnny gawking at Sarah across the pub in the first place? But look, sure, we all know what Wayne Rooney did when his wife was pregnant with their second or third child, hiring prostitutes in the hotel in, I believe, Manchester it was. Look, I'm not here sticking up for one or the other, but it's relating back to the abortion bill. It's an absolute joke of a bill, first and foremost. And it's something that you will not hear Eugene Murphy, my local TD, speak about. I spoke to Robert Troy there a month ago. A lot of people in the Athlone region will know that gentleman. He was well yesterday, 2 days ago actually, speaking about a cyclist bill that's been put through the door. I saw Mr. Murphy there, Eugene Murphy, speaking in that bill, and it's something very important I want to say here to the people of Roscommon in particular, and also to the Fianna Fáil members. Where was Eugene Murphy when the biggest vote that this country has seen since the Home Rule vote that took place in our country? Where was Eugene that night in question in the Dáil when the vote was put forward for the abortion bill. Where was Eugene Murphy? And that's a very good question. I don't know where he was. Was he in the local? Was he in the Dáil pub? Maybe he lost his wallet in the back streets of the inner city Dublin. I don't know. I really don't know, but he was okay and all steady there at the last. And I want to reiterate that the cyclist debate was the last debate of 2018. And I'm speaking to the local community here personally. It's just 1:10 in the morning. As I mentioned, the children are asleep, safe and sound. And I'm here speaking that the last debate in Dáil Éireann of 2018 was cyclist bill. A lot of faces were there to note. Shane Ross in particular, he wasn't talking about giving penalty points for not having your pants on in your car, but he was advocating for cyclists in Dublin. Look, I'm not making fun of cyclists, but I'm just giving you the mindset of these people. They're laughing at us. They're really laughing at us. And you got Mrs. Donnelly probably looking at this video saying, look at that spoofer there, Derek McCabe, talking on his Samsung 9 phone with a little ring light on his face. Who is he talking to? Who does he think he is? You got Eugene Murphy looking at this video as well, laughing. You got Robert Troy laughing. Oh yeah, I know Derek. He's the guy that called to me, giving out on the phone over the abortion bill. And I told him, oh, the Irish people spoke. That's what Robert Troy told me. He said to me, the Irish people voted. Did the Irish people vote for abortion on demand, free and medical care queuing after the pub? They certainly didn't. They voted for women's choice. Like, as I mentioned already, the Magdalen Laundries was women's choice back in the day. The cyclist bill, it was a joke. It was a joke of a bill, and it was a joke of a debate. And I'm saying to the local community, I really feel and I believe that they could have given respect to the Irish people about allowing the last talk in the Dáil about abortions on demand, free on medical card, queuing after the pub. That should have been the last debate of 2018. And leading up to that debate, we saw how much Leo Varadkar, I know his nickname now is Vlad, spoke to Pearse Doherty in the manner and the tone he spoke to Pearse Doherty. It was very defensive. If you look at his body language, smirk on his face, he reminds me of little Mikey at the back of the class of Irish, and he's down there smirking at the back of the class, joking away, similar to Kevin Boxer in the Athlone area. The Athlone people know Kevin, and I don't know him personally, but he's little Mikey at the back of the class. Kevin's father helped him get into the position he's in. And you're saying to me, Derek, look, sure, Kevin is doing a great job for the people of Athlone. Oh, is he? Is he doing a great job for the people of Athlone? Well, let me tell you something here now. It takes you 1 hour in rush hour traffic in Dublin to go from Saggart to Rush. And that's with the M50. Okay? It takes you 1 hour to go from South Roscommon to the north of Roscommon. Right? It takes you 1 hour, give or take, going to Dublin from Athlone. But it takes you 1 hour. 1 hour to go through Athlone town. Isn't that a joke? It's a complete joke. And if you don't believe me, I'm going to tell you. If you're in the Athlone vicinity, drive down tomorrow at 3, 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock. Drive down at 8 or 9 o'clock and see what Robert Troy put in. Athlone town centre is dead. I see in 2019 an exodus, and I'm not talking about the Jews going over the Red Sea here. I'm talking about local businesses in Athlone leaving the town centre. Athlone is a fantastic town in the Midlands. You got two shopping centres in walking distance. You wouldn't get that in Clondalkin. You wouldn't get that in Ballyfermot. But 2 shopping centres here in Athlone, and you got 1 hour traffic. It's a joke. It's a complete joke the way the country is being run. The one-way system was petitioned in Cork, and they took it away. Upwards of the region, I believe, of 10 million Athlone one-way system was. That money could be facilitated for better use. Because I tell you something, and especially Kevin Boxer, that he's just the government's puppet. Relating back to my discussion about Kevin, he's only in his ministerial position because he's the government's puppet. He's the yes man. He's the guy at the back of the class that's making jokes. He's the clown of the class, he is. That's what Kevin Boxer is. He's just the clown of the government, and he's the Minister for OPW. Where's the funds for the Pierce Museum? I'm talking about immigrants coming into this country, economic immigrants, leading on to another thing, that the family one will be the abortion advocate in this country. And direct provision in this country is targeted at the immigrant community. They keep them in their place. For us Irish people, for the young people that can't find work, unfortunately, the social welfare system keeps you in that circle. And you know, for those Irish people that are in that position, I really feel sorry for them. But I also feel sorry for the immigrants that are in direct provision system in this country. They're more than welcome to leave the country if they need so be. I know some of them are in there for 10-15 years on end, $19.50 a week. Only up until recently they can get work now, working for €5, €6 an hour, which is fantastic help for them in their situation. But where I'm coming from, when you got people like Kevin Boxer stick it up for mass immigration on demand, queuing after the pub, I'm saying to Kevin, I say, listen Kevin, let's bring this down a little bit, right? Let's talk brass tacks here. You cannot have open borders in 2018. You can certainly not have abortion on demand in 2018, and not even in 1918. Abortion should never have been put into the limelight because of some liberal agendas. Same way, open borders should not be used as an EU treaty rights advocate, golden ticket, Willy Wonka, chocolate factory type of mandate. You cannot have a minister at the calibre of Bertie Hearn back in the day, walking around like Conor McGregor around Drumcondra with his Leaving Cert credentials. Leaving Cert, in my opinion, is on the how can I put it, on par with the SATs. It's on par with, even below par to the GCSEs, and you got him that was leader of our government. You got Kevin Boxer also with his Leaving Certificate. I never knew a Leaving Certificate can get you certain positions. Maybe I should apply tomorrow and take away my credentials, a HND in Legal Studies with French and an LLB, LLM in law. Will I take away my credentials and just use my Leaving Cert from 2007 to get jobs. Maybe I should do that because modern day society, you don't even put Leaving Cert on your credentials. But here we have a local minister for the people of Athlone on the Westmeath side as their advocate. And that's where I'm come back to the local community. We don't have those politicians to stand up for the local community with good credentials. You got Stephen Donnelly there in Wicklow with his transgender agenda, sticking up for the people of Wicklow. I would love to ask the constituencies there, how does transgender affect the local community down there? Is there a transgender phenomenon going on in Wicklow that I don't know about? You know, you got Simon Harris expecting his first child there. I would love to know the people there in Wicklow. Is abortions on demand queuing after the pub their agenda? Because as far as I'm concerned, Wicklow is suffering a lot on the back end of Dublin. Saggart is pushing well into Blessington, and it will continue to grow. Question is, will there be further land grabs? Certainly there will be. Dublin is an expanding county, pushing into Kildare, into Louth. Whereas the local community is there standing up. I know the local community in Louth has Jerry Adams as their advocate, but he's hiding now in his house in the corner, looking at RTE. That's what he's doing. But it comes back to the abortion bill. It really does, and you can see from the video there, and I believe it's a national crisis that we need to attest to, and everything I spoke about in this video is a reaction to the abortion bill that was signed yesterday. And I believe it's not something extensively overspoken in this video. It's just thoughts, it's opinions, it's facts and figures. When you got 30% of Roscommon County Council budget decreased in the last decade, when you got 500,000 tax default for Roscommon County Council budget that will be paid in the upcoming year, it's noted that 8.5% of the 30% decrease has been
I am ready to learn.
Put back in to Roscommon County Council budget. However, that 8.5% will soon evaporate out of the local community hands to pay the tax default of 500,000. But they can speak about the family in Strokestown's tax default willy-nilly. It's a message to Leo Varadkar to look at the abortion bill. They've already said it, that they will use a trial run. And that was the words of Simon Harris. They're going to use a trial run with the abortion bill. Look at it after 2 years. I can confirm that will be the Fine Gael mandate in 2020, citing that the abortion bill has gone too far over the past 2 years. We've seen excessive amounts of abortions on demand. It's time that we reevaluate our mistake, and let's put it to the people to get back into power. Because as is, if the general election was today Friday, how many people would vote happily for Fine Gael, Fianna Fáil, Sinn Féin, People Before Profit? I'm looking at 15%. That's what I'm looking at, and you can split it maybe 6-6 to Fine Gael, Fianna Fáil, and 3-1 then in between all the other leftists. That's where I'm coming from. I really do believe that with more people power, hopefully on New Year's Day, with more people power leading up to the local elections in May, that I foresee a lot of young candidates in the local community, a lot of pro-life candidates in the local community. But not only that, it's a warning to the local community: do not only vote on pro-life issues, vote on the open border issues. Make sure your local candidate is not for open borders. Make sure your candidate is not for direct provisions on demand queuing after the pub in your local community. It's destroying the local community. December the 27th in Ballinadere, there are going to be over 110 Lebanese so-called asylum seekers being put into that local community without local community knowledge, without them being even questioned as regards to their views on the matter. When it comes to immigration quotas, the UN and the EU advocate how much each member state of the EU take in. Our quote this year was 9.5 thousand economic migrants under the quota. I can confirm that we have met that quota, and it's something that really needs to be looked at. So I'm warning the local community, do not only vote on pro-life issues, vote on a whole number of issues. Do not be intimidated into voting Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael, Sinn Féin on the basis of family affiliation throughout your generations. Do not only vote for little Tommy over there that's been working for the local community as a Fianna Fáil councillor. Because at the end of the day, if you're with Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael, Sinn Féin, you're told what to say at those council meetings. You're told what to say in the public domain. And that's not local community people we need in local government. They're not the ones going to be standing outside local auctioneers picketing when the local auctioneers is facilitating the abortion clinics. They certainly won't, because Micheál Martin won't have it. Where was Eugene Murphy out speaking publicly against the abortion bill for a start? But not only that, against Micheál Martin's leadership of the party. Where was Pearse Doherty's outspoken criticism of Mary Lou's mandate? I can't pick anyone in Fine Gael because they're all Looney Tunes. At the end of the day, it's a video I put out there. I'm happy to put out there, and I just want to thank you all for listening to this video. It's a reaction to the abortion bill, and I just want to say to the local community that the Celtic Tiger is waking up, and it starts from New Year's Day. And I just want to say to everyone, thank you for watching. Please share. And I look forward to speaking to you in the future. Go raibh míle maith agat. Slán.